ID card. Something with your name on it.
That's my ride. I'm gonna go ahead and go.
No, you're not.
I didn't bring any officers.
Okay.
Stop, dude. You can make an emergency, please. I got one resisting.
I work here, sir. I just got off work.
22-year-old Paul had just gotten off of work at CVS
What did he do?
at 10 o'clock.
That's the thing. Nothing.
The fuck?
Police come up. ID card. No. You need to have reasonable suspicion to detain me before you can ask me for my ID card. If I'm minding my business and you walk up to me and you have no reasonable suspicion that I have committed a crime or I'm about to commit a crime, you can't do anything to me.
Yeah.
You can't ask me no questions. You can't demand anything of me. Yeah. That's not how this works. In all 50 states and the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico and any of the other territories, you can't demand my ID if you don't have reasonable suspicion I committed a crime. A lot of times what the cops will do is make up the reasonable suspicion and then say, give me your ID. What reasonable suspicion does he have here? He's just sitting on a bench.
He called for a car using the Lyft app, and he was waiting for his driver to arrive. A police officer thought he looked suspicious. He refused to let him leave. He threatened to tase him.
Dude, you're gonna get tased.
Okay, I work here.
Turn around.
I work.
Stand up and turn around.
For what?
Put your hands behind your back.
For what?
For what?
Then sent his Lyft driver away and took him to jail.
This is my ride. Just 1 second. Hey, you're good to go. He doesn't need a ride anymore. I'm gonna give him one.
For what? Again, what did he do? What did he do, bruh? He has to do something. What did he do? He didn't give you his ID. Okay, that would be a charge if you had reasonable suspicion to detain him, but you don't because he was just sitting on the bench.
You are going to jail tonight.
No crime had been committed.
Okay.
No crime had been reported. Just somebody who had just gotten off work, minding their own business.
And he works at the
Do you
CVS.
really work here?
I swear to God, I work here.
I do believe that he works here. He's gonna learn, fortunately, the hard way. So.
Again,
What?
Again, this is the second video that we've seen where the officer snitches on himself in the middle of the video. If you know that I work, because he's going to try to make up something later and say, I thought he was going to burglar it, I thought he was going to this or that, but you admit that you believe I work here. So if I work here, why can't I sit on the bench outside and wait for my Lyft, which I told you was coming, and there's the ride that shows up to prove that I was telling the truth. So what crime did you believe that he committed when you came up to him? Looking suspicious is not a crime. What did he do? I want to know.
Yeah, I do believe him.
So what?
Himself, so.
He doesn't have to.
Yeah,
He's not
These
fucked.
charges are still pending
He's not
against Paul, who has no criminal
What?
history.
I know the update though. The charges are no longer pending. The officer got fired.
Good.
And the charges were dropped.
Good.
Who committed no crime, who was quiet and respectful, and his grandfather is actually a retired police captain from a different city.
That's what got your ass fucked up.
Yep.
That's what got you fucked up, dickhead.
If you're like me, you've completely lost track of all the things, specifically Officer Rippy. Thanks again to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it.
Of course it's Florida.
This occurred less than a month ago in Volusia County, Florida, involving the Edgewater Police Department, specifically Officer Rippion, who has worked there since 2022, and so I'm told he's gained quite the reputation already for being quite an authoritarian.
Yeah.
you don't give me your name and stuff, I can put you in handcuffs.
You didn't ask me for my name. You said my ID.
said it.
What's your name?
Officer Rippion, if you keep it up, you're gonna go in handcuffs.
I'm allowed to ask you your name. I'm telling you, I'm epileptic, and your lights can give me a seizure.
Are you failing to provide your name?
No, did I say I was failing to
Give me
provide my
your
name?
name.
And what crime am I being suspected
You just
of?
said it.
It's not
Give
a
me your
guessing
name.
game. I don't have to guess what
You're
I'm being
resisting
stopped
now.
for. No, I'm not.
Put your
Call
hands behind
Chaz
your
Geiger.
You're under
No,
arrest.
I'm not. I have not done anything. Tell
Put
me
your
what-
hands behind your back.
No, you're not telling me what
You're
I'm
gonna
being
get tased.
stopped for. I'm going to be tased?
That's crazy.
Like I said,
Not every interaction
There-
between
a lot
police
of them are like
officer
this, bro.
where he's questioning somebody is a detainment. Sometimes
Nope.
the courts find that those are consensual encounters. But where somebody is actually being detained, they are not free to leave. That triggers the Fourth Amendment.
Point a
It's
weapon
not
at me.
yet
I'm
an
not free to
arrest.
leave.
It's known as a Terry stop.
Yep.
For a lawful Terry stop, a police officer needs specific objective facts, not just a hunch, indicating that
specific articulable facts. That the word articulable is in the case and the subsequent case law, Terry versus Ohio. Articulable. So the police officer, when called upon, Not necessarily during the stop, but later on, maybe in court. You must articulate the facts and circumstances that led you to believe that a specific crime had been committed or was about to be committed. This is very specific and very limited. The difference is the police lie and bullshit their way through a lot of this and fucking use it to expand their authority to places it doesn't belong.
And like it says right there, not just a hunch.
Right. Y'all can read, right? Look at it. Not just a hunch. That's all. They used to say that. They used to use these hunches to fucking to do stuff, bro. Pre-1960s, these niggas was kicking in doors on hunches.
Yep.
Facts.
Some crime or criminal violation
Bullshit.
has occurred. A police officer must
Bullshit.
be able to clearly
was
explain
wild.
observable
Spit on you.
evidence that justifies the stop. No hunches are allowed. No vague feelings or
Right.
unsupported intuition, i.e. just looks suspicious,
And that's literally what he said to him.
are allowed. This was his initial explanation to Paul about why he was being arrested.
So I pull up.
But that goes to show you that, like my husband says, they don't know the law as well as they say that they do.
They don't, bro. Police officers don't know the law, bro. They know. They're like fucking Down syndrome robots.
They try to loophole
That's
the law.
that's what they're taught, ways to avoid the law to execute their duties. That's to avoid the restrictions that the law puts on them. They are taught ways to get around that
just to make their job easier.
to do their duty. So they're taught the ways they can go in your house without a warrant. That's what they're taught. But they're not taught the entire framework of the situation. Right. So when you start arguing with them, they think they think they're in the right. Based on department policy, they can just do whatever. And it's like, the fuck are you talking about? You can't do that. Take it from me. Went to law school for 3 years. I passed the bar exam. You can't do that. You can't do that.
See you sitting there, and then all of a sudden I'm pulling up. You're hiding behind the pillars.
Hiding!
Closed business. How's that look, dude?
You say hiding, I just got up and just put my hoodie on. That's all I
Do
did.
you really work here?
I swear to God I work. Look up what time CVS closes. Look up what time CVS closes. It's 10 o'clock.
You got your ID card on you?
I didn't do anything wrong, so.
You came up on him 7 minutes after the store closes. He's sitting on a bench. Exactly what crime did he commit? Right. What are you doing?
I got off work. My manager just left. His name is Mike.
And here was his explanation to the other cops who subsequently arrived on the scene.
I'm passing by, assistant with singer, so I was like, I'll dip in and check who it is. As I'm pulling in, he hides behind the pole. So I'm like, that's strange. So obviously I need to talk to this guy. His business is closed.
That's
I
a
go
lie.
talk to him, like, hey man. And he's like, am I being detained? I said, yes, you are. You're being detained.
First of all,
Honestly, I don't think that sounds still like it's not enough.
first of all, that's not what happened. Second of all,
it's still not enough.
even if he was hiding behind the pillar, or he hid behind the pillar when you showed up, I don't know if that's enough to detain him. Because still, it's like, that is suspicious, yes, but that's not enough to detain him. Because what's the crime? You're saying, do you think that if he hid behind the pillar, he's about to burgle the store? You think the store just closed 7 minutes ago. And then he explained to you who he is. He says, I work here. Instead of you trying to confirm that or anything, you're trying to take him away for whatever you can take him away for.
Right.
Basically because he didn't do what you said. And that's what all these cops be doing. They're on a fucking power trip.
Yeah.
You asked him to do something that you didn't have authority to ask him. And he's refused to do it. And as a result, you got upset and tried to do something to him. They do this all the time. It's rat behavior. Spit on you. Piece of shit.
And I asked him for ID. He said he doesn't have it.
No, he refused to give it to you.
Here, I'm gonna leave. I said, no, you're not.
That's literally not what happened.
And
He's
then I
lying.
said,
But go ahead.
That's why he was getting up to leave. And I pulled my taser out, and Drago started barking. I think he got a little worried, so he fucking started to comply then. But, so he's going to jail for resisting. Where the hell's his ride? That was his Uber right there.
Resisting.
Apparently he works here, but, dude, he passed that point, and he's trying to jump in that and leave. I do believe
He
that
didn't try to
works
jump
here.
in it and leave.
You
You lying.
But, I mean, he was going to try to dictate and tell me he was going to leave, so I'm not playing that game. No, he's going to learn, fortunately, the hard way. So
Okay,
he's
buddy.
like, my ride's here, I'm going to leave. I said, no, you're not, dude. I was like, you're detained. And then
Definitely power tripping.
Yeah, and that's not the order in which things happen. You lying. You're lying.
And here's the full arrest report narrative where he alleges his reasonable suspicion for detaining and subsequently arresting Paul. Officer Ripion observed a white male with a hoodie on out front of a closed business. Officer Ripion pulled into the business in his marked patrol vehicle. Officer Ripion observed the unknown male begin to hide his person behind a pillar on the building. Officer Ripion made contact with the subject on the above suspicious behavior. Officer Ripion began to speak with the unknown male, and he expressed that he wanted to leave.
Yep.
Officer Ripion explained to the unknown male he was detained. And finally, here is the actual body cam footage. This is the exact moment that the body cam footage turns on without the audio. Where the audio turns on, that is the exact moment that Officer Ripion turns his body cam on.
What's going on with you?
So we don't hear what was said prior to the point that he turned that on. But what we do see is this 22-year-old Paul just sitting outside his place of employment, wearing a hoodie. We don't see Paul committing any crime. We don't see Paul doing anything suspicious. And once the audio turns on, we can hear that Officer Ripion is extremely aggressive. He's escalating what should have been a consensual encounter where he's just alleviating some hunch or suspicion that he has.
And what did I tell you in the beginning? That's how the Terry stops work. If you see suspicious shit, something that is, you believe creates reasonable suspicion of a specific crime. This doesn't even do that. But even if you did do that, once you get there, you assess the situation, you gather information, and then you determine whether your suspicions are confirmed or belied. And when your suspicions are belied, you are to let him go. Your suspicions were belied when he told you he works here. He said his Lyft was coming, and there goes the Lyft. So it's not as if he was doing anything that he said anything untoward and then tried to escape you. That's not what's happening.
His fellow officers, I don't understand, after hearing all that, and the fact that he even openly admitted to the fact that he said, I do believe he works here. Why didn't they be like, okay, so what are we doing here? Like, what is this?
Right.
Because
so he didn't ID himself for a situation that didn't even need to be IDing because he's not doing anything. Just let him go.
He belongs here, and he obviously just got off of work, and the car just came here. So what are we doing here?
The only reason they did this is because they wanted to punish him for not listening to what they said.
Yeah.
But they had no authority to give him commands.
And he's escalating that immediately to a detainment. He's threatening to tase him. He's threatening to have his canine bite him. This guy really appears to have some anger issues.
He's a pussy.
What's going on with you? ID card. Something with your name on it. 6K93 Central?
That's my ride. I'm gonna go ahead and go.
No, you're not. Can you start me another unit, please?
I didn't break any laws, I didn't break any laws, sir. So.
Stop, dude. You can make an emergency, please. I got one resisting.
I work here, sir. I just thought I was working. You don't believe
Dude, you're gonna get tased.
Okay, I work here.
Turn around.
I work
Stand up and turn around.
Okay, I work here, sir.
Put your hands behind your back. Don't move.
You are a bitch. You're a pussy. This is why people don't like the police. This is why. Because you're doing shit that you don't have authority to do.
My car, you're gonna get dog bit.
Shut up. Look at this shit.
Stop moving.
Why are you threatening him?
Are you serious?
Now you threatening him for what?
I'm glad he's fired.
Would you threaten? So you threaten the suspect for no reason. Why are you doing that?
Who is that? Is that person related to you?
No, that's my Lyft. Can you just let them know that it's $40. It's $40.
I asked, okay, I pull up. Let's recap everything. So I pull up, I see you sitting there, and then all of a sudden I'm pulling up, you're hiding behind the pillars of a closed business. How's that look, dude?
It doesn't look like anything. Stop it. It looks like nothing. You have no idea what he's gonna do.
I'm like, let's recap.
It's a closed business. I pull up, you're hiding behind the pillars.
It doesn't even matter because, first of all, hiding behind pillars, what does that mean? Is he gonna burglar it? Is he gonna burglar a car? What's he gonna do? You have no idea. That's the best that you don't know. And if you don't know, you can't hold on to me. And second of all,
you caught me sitting down, sir.
And second of all, it doesn't matter because you're like, okay, even if all what you said is true, he hid, that's suspicious. You think that's reasonable suspicion of potential attempted burglary to detain him? Okay. Once you detain him, he told you he works here. He's an employee. He just closed the store. You could figure that out. But instead of doing that, you're just going to arrest him. You're a terrible police officer. Terrible. You're a menace to the community.
Does that sound weird to you? And then listen.
I work here.
I tell you you're detained. And you're telling me you're gonna leave.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
No. He said he was gonna leave. Then you said he was detained.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say he was detained and then he said he was gonna leave. That's not what happened. You're a fucking liar.
Then you were resisting.
Okay.
How did he resist?
I apologize.
How did he resist?
I just got
What did he resist?
put my hoodie on.
Where did he
That's all.
resist
Do you really
at?
work here?
I swear to God, I work here. But what time is it? Can you tell me what time it is? Just tell me what time it is.
Dude.
I get it.
What's your name?
Look up what time CVS closes. Look up what time CVS closes. It's 10 o'clock.
You got your ID card on you?
I didn't do anything wrong, sir. I got off work. My manager just left. His name is Mike. I'm your...
At this point, you have this, you have that. Suck my dick. That's what it is. If I'm under arrest, then fucking arrest me. I'm not giving you anything. Suck my dick. Fuck you talking about?
This is my ride. Just 1 second.
Put me in the back. I'm done. Take me to jail. Fuck you.
Hey, you're good to go. He doesn't need a ride anymore. I'm gonna give him one. I said he
Okay,
called
buddy.
a Lyft or something. I think.
Yeah, we're on the left. Sir.
Yeah, I got one for him. So you're free to go.
Yeah.
You can cancel it or something. He might get arrested. So.
I hear you. I'm trying to figure out with her. Cancel it. So.
Okay.
Get
I got
arrested
you.
for
Hang
what?
on, Ben. All right. I
Son
appreciate
is
it.
a bitch.
So was his initial stop
And your
therefore
mama.
the
Fuck outta
entire
here.
incident justified at the inception?
Nope.
Reasonable suspicion that he is claiming he observed Paul, 1, wearing a hoodie,
Knew that was
2,
coming.
standing outside what he believed to be a closed business, and 3, he claims that he observed him hide behind a pillar.
Yeah, none of that is reasonable suspicion because, like I said, of what? What is the crime? You didn't catch him touching this. You didn't catch him doing that. And on top of that, wearing a hoodie. So what? Certain clothing makes you suspicious.
Right. Trayvon Martin all over again. 'Cause this is Florida.
Standing behind a pillar makes you suspicious. When you see the police, not necessarily. Not enough for you to hold on to me.
Right. He could have been looking at his phone, looking down at his phone,
Could be
coming out
anything.
of the facility, and just looking at his phone, and he happened to be behind the pillar as he was doing.
Police forget this.
I can see that.
Police
happening.
forget this is a free country. You can do whatever you want to do, and that is you don't just get to ascribe suspicion to random activities because you feel like you want to do something to somebody. That's not how this works.
Allegedly, though Paul claims that he was just putting on his hoodie. Let's
Right.
just accept for a moment that that does qualify as reasonable suspicion. Then what?
That,
Right.
either way, even if it did, he told you he works here. You gained information that belied your suspicion, and you still tried to arrest him.
Right.
You're power
That
tripping.
just entitles him to do everything that he did in this
No.
video? The way he talked to him,
No.
pointing a taser at him.
I
No.
got one resisting.
I work here, sir. I just got off work.
Dude, you're gonna get tased.
Okay, I work here.
Turn around.
I work.
Stand up and turn around.
Okay, I work here, sir.
Put your hands behind your back.
They're already
Don't
there.
move.
Threatening to have his dog bite him,
If you move, there's a canine in my car. You're gonna get dog bit.
Why'd you do that?
placing him in handcuffs for the amount of time that occurred, lecturing him, questioning him, and so on. If there's reasonable suspicion, can he just do whatever he wants?
Nope.
Looking again to the 11th Circuit in U.S. versus Campbell from 2022, an en banc court, which means the entire court, very important, held that consistent with the Fourth Amendment, an officer may perform a limited investigatory detention of someone he reasonably suspects has committed criminal activity.
Yeah.
Such stops may last only as
long
long
as
as is
necessary.
necessary to achieve their limited investigatory purpose.
And what's the investigatory purpose? To confirm or belie your suspicions of a specific crime occurred or about to occur. That's it.
What I think is very important here is that at some point, Officer Ripion admits that he does believe Paul is an employee of CVS who was waiting for his Lyft driver. He admits that multiple times, yet he still arrests Paul.
Do you really work here?
I swear to God, I work here.
Yeah, I do believe him. You are going to jail tonight.
And
For
in
what?
the body cam footage, we can see that the real reason for the arrest was the allegation that Paul failed to present his ID when ordered to.
No, he's gonna learn, fortunately, the hard way. So he wouldn't fucking lie to himself. So yeah, he's.
I paid for my own college,
he's not
so
fucked.
I knew I'd
You're
have to
fucked.
start accumulating a lot of money, paying student loans, paying rent.
Fuck your commercial.
However, a guy sitting outside of CVS in the state of Florida has no obligation to carry any sort of government ID on him. He had not been driving a vehicle. He never failed to alleviate the officer's suspicions about maybe he's up to no good. In fact, he did alleviate those suspicions.
I got one resisting.
I work here, sir. I just got off work. Okay, I work here.
Turn around.
I work.
Stand up and turn around.
Okay, I work here, sir.
Put your hands behind your back. Don't move.
You say hiding. I just got up to put my hoodie on. That's all I
Do
did.
you really work here?
I swear to God, I work here. But what time is it? Can you tell me what time it is? Just tell me what time it is. I get it.
7 minutes after the
Look up
store
what time
closed is
CVS
when they
closes.
showed up.
Look up what time CVS closes. It's 10 o'clock.
You got your ID card on you?
I didn't do anything wrong, sir. I got off work and my manager just left. His name is Mike.
The officer just wanted that ID. It was like crack. He had to have
He had to have it, right.
Leaning against the car.
He had to have the ID.
You got anything illegal on you? Anything you shouldn't have?
Fuck you.
You are going to jail tonight.
So take me. Suck my dick.
I was pretty clear with you and cool. You're
Cool?
gonna get tased.
You threatened me.
Turn around.
I work here, sir.
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm telling you,
Don't
these
move.
cops are
You
delusional,
move, there's
bro.
a canine in my car. You're gonna get dog bit. You
Delusional.
don't get to tell me that you're gonna leave,
Nice and
okay?
cool.
I told you. You asked me if you were detained. I said yes, dude. And then you decided you just.
He
wanna
didn't ask
leave
you for.
and
He
do
didn't even say that
whatever the
word.
fuck you want.
You said that
Are
word.
you gonna talk or
No.
no? Okay.
Talk about what?
Also, by the
Yeah,
way,
I
what
wouldn't
we
either.
have here are two things. Custodial interrogation. When a police officer has somebody both in custody and they are asking questions or
Didn't give it.
incriminating
Miranda
You
rights.
didn't read his Miranda warnings, right? You're asking questions that are likely to incriminate him.
responses may be elicited, they have to have first
Goofy
read
shit.
Miranda rights to the individual. Here, that did not occur.
So even if he said right there, I was about to burgle the store, it would get suppressed because they didn't give him Miranda warnings for asking him fucking questions.
Yeah.
Once he's in custody, and he is in custody, he's fucking
he's
handcuffed.
arrested.
being
Yeah.
interrogated while in custody, thus Miranda applies. While that's not something that you can sue for, any statements made here would be inadmissible in
Yeah.
court, assuming Paul filed a motion to suppress those statements.
Yep.
Take a seat. What's that?
Just ask about this seatbelt right here.
You don't have questions for me? Do you understand why you're getting arrested?
I was just sitting there. I got.
Do you understand why you're getting arrested?
My lift came.
I'll pull this back so you don't get too hot.
No.
Eat a dick.
Come on, put me back on.
Still didn't read him his rights.
Nope.
I don't want you to overheat back here, dude. So you don't want me to explain to you? You're good? I want to explain to you.
You're not explaining
I think I dictated a little bit what was going on.
You are fucking up, is what you're
It
doing.
was very
Still
strange,
is.
dude. Closed business.
Still is.
I wish the police would do some shit like this to me, because I want that money. I want that money. I wish they would do this
I
to
find
me.
it hilarious that he's still ongoing with asking him questions and arresting him, and he
Right.
still hasn't read him his rights.
And he still
I
hasn't.
find it
And he still hasn't done. He still hasn't done anything.
You can tell he's a hothead.
I know.
Absolutely,
He's
tell
a hoe.
He's a hothead.
I pull up, you're hiding behind the pole.
Him and his mama too.
So I get out with you, okay? I asked you to identify yourself, then you asked me to detain. I tell you are detained.
He never said that. He
Okay.
didn't ask you that.
Because Lord and Crowley, I can investigate that. Although I'm not going to charge you with that, nor I'm going to go further in that. I'm asking
Charging with loitering and prowling.
When he works there, and you know he
The
does.
the place closed 7 minutes ago. He was waiting for his Uber or Lyft ride, which showed up.
Yep.
That's literally not loitering and prowling. He was at his place of employment waiting for a ride to go home. How is that loitering? And loitering requires you to not have a purpose for where you are. He works. What the fuck are you talking about?
to identify yourself. If you fail to do that, I'm going to charge you with resisting, okay?
Ripion has now adopted his own facts that are not the real facts.
Yeah.
He did not ask merely for Paul to identify himself. He asked for an ID card.
What's going on with you? ID card. Something with your name on it.
If the concern was that he was a prowler or loitering, Paul identified himself as an employee of the store. Not only that, he even gave the name of his supervisor.
Look up what time CVS closes. Look up what time CVS closes.
Mm-hmm.
You
He don't
got your ID
care.
card on you?
I didn't do anything.
He don't
wrong,
care
sir.
because he just wants to do something to you. It
I
doesn't
don't.
matter.
My manager just left. His name is Mike.
Yeah, I do believe him.
So y'all all know, and you're still arresting him.
We've had a handful.
I'm glad he's
Because
kicked off the force.
the fact that these cops, you don't serve the community. You don't. You're like,
You serve yourself and your ego.
you're a menace to the fucking community. Because even if he didn't give you his, suppose you did have reasonable suspicion, right? Suppose you were lawful in asking for his ID and he didn't give it to you, and that's a crime, so you want to arrest him, right? If these officers were good people, if they served the community, they would chalk this up to all's well that ends well. and they would let him go. Because, yeah, he refused to give you, he didn't really listen to you, I guess, if that's the way you want to go with it. But ultimately, you confirmed that he's an employee of the store. He was just waiting for his Lyft ride. He didn't do any crimes. He didn't commit any crimes. The only thing he did wrong is not listening to you in a circumstance where ultimately there was no crime.
Yeah.
So basically, there's no crime, and you're on him for not listening to your authority. It's like, good people would let him go. Rat behavior.
Oh, okay. I've never dealt with.
The fact is, no crime was committed, and nobody reasonable would have suspected that any crime was committed. But even assuming that there was some reasonable suspicion based on the totality of the circumstances, somebody in a hoodie outside a closed store acting with some sort of furtive movement, that only entitles a police officer to perform a limited investigatory detention of that individual, not to treat somebody the way that Paul was treated here. And really, he was given no opportunity to even comply with the plethora of orders being thrown at him by this highly aggressive, escalating police officer with a temper. That is not a stop that lasted only so long as was necessary to achieve the limited investigatory purpose of this officer's unfounded suspicions, or as I would call it, a hunch. Therefore, now we have somebody who is completely innocent, no criminal record, whose grandfather was a police captain in the same county, by the way, completely treated like garbage. They're trying to ruin his life. These charges are still pending, and you can help by...
And didn't read him his Miranda rights?
Nothing like that. And my understanding is that the officer was fired and that the charges were dropped. Let me see if I
Do
can
you have a
find
car?
something on that.
Do you have a
Because I just want to see if this guy had anything, regarding whether he was fired or not. So let's see.
being falsely arrested in front of the CVS store that he worked at.
Dude, you're gonna get tased.
Okay, I work here.
Turn around.
I work.
Stand up and turn around.
Okay, I work here.
Put your hands behind your back. Don't move.
More than just that community, it seems like the entire nation was outraged at what they saw. My video got an unprecedented 2.4 million views in the first 24 hours. Also, within that first 24 hours, because there was such widespread public outrage, prosecutors in Volusia County, Florida, dismissed the criminal charges against Paul. The town of Edgewater also quickly responded, putting Officer Rippion on leave pending investigation, and now it's been reported that he's already been fired. Of course, they just used the word separation. I have updates from that. I have updates from Paul's family.
See, that's good for me because they did him. They got him a GoFundMe. Could get bro some bread and get these motherfuckers out of here.
Yeah.
Rat behavior, son. And he should if he can, he should sue the officer directly or definitely sue the department. Get your money.
Yeah.
Because this is outrageous behavior. And anyone who agrees with this, you must be a literal Nazi. That's what you must be. Because this is that type of behavior. North Korea authoritarian fuckery. Again, this is a free country, and as an American citizen, this type of behavior should offend you. And if it doesn't, there's something wrong with you, and that's a fact.
Till it happens to you one day.
It is what it is, son. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. You think he was justified in doing what he did? He was suspicious, yeah? Let me know.